Раз, проверим звук. Отлично, звук есть. Всем добрый вечер. С вами Алексей. И это мой канал по видеоиграм. Сегодня у меня стрим по Genshin Impact. Давно не стримил. Вообще вчера должен был быть стрим. Но что-то пошло не так. Я потом в телеге отпишусь, что пошло не так. Вот. А так, сегодня будем проходить стандартные миссии легенд. Вышел второй сплит, получается, запустился второй сплит круток, собственно говоря, полусезонье второе. Вот, закончился ивент с праздником морских фонарей, ну и там сейчас мелкие ивенты идут, собственно говоря, чем я занимаюсь там в свободное время. Вот, постримлю, как обычно, около часа. Что будем проходить, сейчас, в принципе, посмотрим. Так что, let's go. Ну и да, я тут пока чуть-чуть даже побегал, повкачивал перцев. И мне осталось совсем чуть-чуть, чтобы докачать основного перца, вот этого путешественника. Ибо я у него вообще вкачал все. Начиная там с характеристик, оружия, артефактов, заканчивая созвездием и талантами. Вот талантов осталось только вот это. Чуть-чуть не хватает. Ну, я думаю, сегодня добью. Вот. По миссиям. Что я буду сегодня проходить? Можно задание легенд выбрать. Есть Ризли, Фурина и Навия. Все они, в принципе, фонтейновские. Я думаю, можно начать с Фурины. Или с Ризли. Что взять первое? А пусть будет Фурина все-таки. Посмотрим. Да. Принять задание. Принять. Оп. Ой. Что мне надо вот сюда? Оп. Так, и мне нужно отправлять... Подожди, а там же есть описание? Ну-ка. Вот. Маленькая океанида, капельмейстер, глава 1. Однажды вы с Паймон прибываете в гильдию искателей приключений за новыми поручениями. И там, видимо, сейчас сюжет какой-то начнется. Ну, let's go.
Hey, Catherine, it's us. Got any new commissions? Specifically one with a huge more attack, perhaps?
Самый выгодный давай.
You know we're worth it. For quality work and speedy results, choose Paimon and the Traveler.
It's always a pleasure to see our two most avid adventurers again. Looking for the next challenge, I see. Actually, we do in fact have a rather urgent commission that is still open. Having read the details, however, I don't believe you'd consider it to be lucrative.
Мало денег
Don't
дают?
worry about that. We were just kidding. So what's
В смысле,
the
просто
situation?
поручили? Нам бабки
To put
нужны.
it simply,
Бабки всегда
the
нужны.
requester is looking for a temporary replacement actress for their musical. The original cast member ran into some issues and is currently unable to perform the role.
Мне
But the
нужно будет
troupe has
подбирать
also been
актрису.
experiencing some financial difficulties. So unfortunately, they cannot afford to pay the replacement actress.
That does sound like a tricky situation. So basically they're looking for a volunteer?
That's right. Our adventurers reached out to many actresses, but none of them were willing to take the job. There are only a few days left until the performance. If they can't find someone in time, they'll probably have to postpone the show. And delays tend to create all sorts of new problems.
Как он так
Got
бюджет-то не
it.
рассчитал?
Oh, this one's a doozy. What do you think, Traveler? Any ideas? Even if we took the commission, neither of us have any experience starring in musicals.
Ага.
If you're interested in helping, why not start by having a chat with the
Большой
requester?
человек.
He's right over there. Maybe you can't fill the role yourselves, but you might be able to help him figure out another solution. Maybe there's something he hasn't thought of.
Oh, it's that guy, huh? No wonder, he looks like he just ate a sour lemon.
Вот любопытно, а если бы я играл за женского персонажа основного, то он мне бы дал сыграть роль или нет? Так, ладно. Ясно. Сначала расспросим о ситуации.
Paimon approves, let's go!
Погнали. О, у нее сзади ключ.
Hello there. Are you the guy looking for a
Точнее,
new
замочная
actress?
скважина.
Wait, I know you two. Are you really willing to act in my musical?
Да
Wow,
нет.
sounds like we're pretty famous in Fontaine already. But to answer your question, neither of us have any experience in musicals. But we heard that you're in a bit of a bind, so we figured we could at least try to help you think of a solution.
Ah, I see. It's okay. I knew that asking for a volunteer was a long shot. If we can't find someone to step in, we'll have no choice but to cancel the show. It would be such a shame.
Я знаю, весь бюджет сожрал он сам, учитывая какого ну, объема. Так, ладно. Разве нельзя платить работу новой актрисы за счет выручки от продажи билетов?
That's the thing. We're not some high-profile theater troupe, just a group of amateur enthusiasts. All our sets and props are very crude. We're grateful enough just to get an audience, never mind ticket fees. If we had a way to make this profitable, things might have turned out differently. But now, it
Они
looks
типа
inevitable that
энтузиасты
we'll
и чисто
disband.
на просто так играют.
You're splitting up the troupe?
Ради,
Oh,
как это
I
назвать,
guess the lady at the
Ради
Adventurers Guild didn't tell you?
известности.
Yeah, this is supposed to be our final show together as a troupe. One last show. And after that, we go our separate ways. So we were really hoping to end on a high note. Nobody wants things to just fizzle out. Not after all the time and effort we've invested into it.
Кто-то не может участвовать в представлении.
Yeah, the leading lady, in fact. She's been dealing with a chronic illness ever since childhood, and unfortunately, it flared up again recently. It really drains all her energy, so she's in no
Ой,
state
его
to
зовут
perform.
Лавик. Я только сейчас понял.
The show just
Прочитал
won't be the
сейчас.
same without her. But for everyone else's sake, I still hope we can find a way to hold the performance on schedule.
Got it. We have a clearer picture now. Let's see if we can come up with any ideas. What if we sponsored the show? Traveler, how much more are you carrying?
У меня так-то много ее,
Please,
довольно-таки.
there's no need to go that far. I wouldn't feel right asking such a huge favor. And I can't promise that we'd ever be able to pay you back.
Да вопрос не в море, а в том, что можно ли с ее помощью найти хорошую актрису.
Good point. If the actress just goes through the motions for the Mora, that's not exactly rescuing the show. We should find someone who will put on the best performance possible. Oh, wait! What about... you know who?
Великие умы мыслят одинаковые. Я как раз об этом подумал.
That's how you know we're the best of partners. Anyway, she should have all the free time in the world right now. She's really good at performing, and she was once super popular with the crowd. Performing in a musical should be a piece of cake for her.
Ну,
Who
если
are
что,
you
мы и
thinking
денег
of?
подкинем. Вот не пофиг.
Sounds like someone famous.
На Фурине.
Her? You're... That was a joke, right?
Nope. Paimon doesn't actually know if she's performed on stage before, but Paimon's pretty confident that she'd be really good at it.
You're not wrong there. She has actually performed in a number of big-name shows before. They were one of the reasons she was so popular. But even if she's no longer the Hydro Archon, it's not like she's suddenly a commoner.
Так она вам
She's still an
известности еще
idol to
добавит.
many people in Fontaine, including myself. I just think Lady Farina might feel a bit out of place in an amateur troupe like ours.
Вы хотите, чтобы шоу продолжалось, не так ли? Готовы ли сделать все, что потребуется?
Well, yes, but...
Что?
Fair enough. I mean,
Пользуйся
if she was
связями,
actually
пока
willing
можешь.
to, then of course I'd be honored to have Lady Farina star in our show. I'm sure the rest of the troupe would be delighted too.
Ну
I'm
все,
sure
вот и
everyone in
порешили.
our troupe has probably dreamt of performing on stage with her one day. Of course, it all depends on whether she's interested. She might consider this opportunity beneath her.
No point in stressing about that. We'll only know if we ask her. And besides, things are different now. There's no reason for her to be all high and mighty anymore.
Ага. Пойдем, в любом случае будет полезно ее проведать.
Thank you for your help. I guess I'll just stay here and wait for the good news. Good luck.
Ладно,
Wait, where does
погнали.
Farina actually live nowadays? She used to live in luxury at the Palais Mermonia, but she's, moved out, right?
As it happens, I have her current address here. I can provide it to you.
То есть ты подслушивала, стояла, да?
When did you get here?
Ай-яй-яй, подслушивать нехорошо.
I came over when things were starting to sound more promising. I thought I should be at the ready in case my assistance is needed. It is my duty to support commissioners in any way I can.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Well, now that we've got the address, we'll go find Farina. Back in a jiffy.
Да, погнали. Оп, маленькая Кианида. Новая глава. Собственно говоря, началось задание. Как расспросить Фарину. Она где-то теперь ниже живет. Уи. Пойдем стучать. Тук-тук-тук.
Did Catherine really give us the right address? She lives here?
А что не так? Нормальный дом. Выглядит нормально.
Not that there's anything wrong with this place. It's just a
Да
bit
что
of a step
угодно
down
будет.
from the Palais Marmonia.
Уступать дворцу, ё-моё. Ты чё?
You know, it's common courtesy to make sure the homeowner isn't in earshot when you're denigrating their abode.
Okay, when did popping out of thin air become all the rage? First Catherine and now you?
I was just out on a shopping trip. I ran out of macaroni, so I went to grab a few more bags.
Ну, любишь
I
макарошки?
used to have a
Уважуха.
much wider range of choices when it came to food. But now I'm finding that simple, traditional home cooking can be quite delicious too.
Тебе не надоедают макароны каждый день? Не надоедают. О.
Not at all. As long as you have different kinds of sauces in, you can have macaroni and tomato sauce one week, macaroni and bolognese the next.
Oh, sounds like you're really struggling to cope.
Это потому что тебе приходится готовить самой?
How rude! Questioning my cooking skills. The audacity! It's not like I have a very eventful life these days. Actually, I barely leave the house. So I don't see how it's unusual that my meals are a little simpler now too. Besides, I'm sure I could master dishes like la lettre focilor or blubber profiteroles in no time, if I felt so inclined.
Ah, there it is. You don't know how to cook.
Ты не умеешь готовить.
Not yet, maybe, but... Anyway, what are you even doing here? I do hope you didn't come here just to ogle at my fall from
Чё,
grace.
не могли ей выделить
Let me
место?
first be
Во
clear
дворце
that
жила бы
I'm
там
not
дальше,
taking
и всё.
guests at this time. So if you're just here to clown around, then please be on your way. Shoo!
Sorry, we're sorry. Please don't be mad.
Паймон беспокоится о твоем благополучии.
Yeah, exactly what the traveler said. Paimon wasn't trying to make fun of you. Hang on a sec, you weren't exactly holding back either.
Это не важно. Мы вообще-то пришли сюда, чтобы просить о помощи.
My help? Well, maybe you're forgetting that I'm no longer the
А у нее
mighty
даже хочется
Hydro
глаза бога нет.
Archon.
У-у-у.
I don't even have a vision, you know.
Don't worry, it's nothing that serious. It's just very specific, and you're the one with the power to help.
Если не ты, то никто больше не поможет. Только ты подходишь.
Oh? Well, if that's the case, then fine. I'll spare you the lecture about your attitude just now. So tell me, what specifically makes this matter so specific?
Вы рассказываете Фарине о планах труппы на последний
I
спектакль.
see. I knew you couldn't have come all this way just to amuse yourselves at my expense. After all, I was once the brightest star in all of Fontaine, well versed in all the various performing arts. A mere musical is well within my capabilities. But given the present circumstances,
Почему?
I'm afraid I must regretfully decline your casting request.
How come? It sounds like this would be a breeze for you.
True, but I have made a decision to retire from the
А чем ты
stage.
вообще на жизнь собралась
Although I
зарабатывать?
am no longer required to play the role of the Hydro Archon, the time I spent inhabiting that character has left an indelible mark on me. Centuries of pretending to be a different person changes you completely. I'm not the same person I once was.
Ну,
Of
начала
course, that
прибедняться. Ну,
can't be
ё-моё.
undone now. It's too late, and I have no intention of reinventing myself all over again. But at least I can say that I no longer desire to play any new roles.
Так вот, что ты на самом деле чувствуешь.
Paimon can understand, but this is just a one-off part to fill in for someone who's sick. Surely that's okay.
Whether it's a one-off or not, it's a boundary that I've committed to no longer cross. If
Надо,
I
короче,
make
еще
an
её
exception to
поуговаривать.
the rule now,
Слишком
I'm
мало,
just
видимо.
leaving a back door for myself, which would be the same as not having a boundary in the first place. So I'm not going to perform, and that is that.
Okay, guess there's no convincing you. Well, is there anything else we can do to help out the troupe? Otherwise, they'll just have to disband without any
О, на жалость.
fanfare.
Давим на жалость. Давай. Давай,
Do you
давай.
know
Правильно
any other
говоришь.
actors who might be interested in the role?
Nope.
Short and to the point. Okay.
I've never been great at maintaining relationships. Besides, anyone I've ever worked with probably couldn't wait to get rid of me. Since I'm just an ordinary person now, they'll probably just laugh in my face if I go asking them for help.
Не стоит думать о людях плохо. Что плохого в том, чтобы сделать одно исключение?
Look, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I drew a line in the sand without thinking about every possible grain on the other side.
Well, is there anything else we can do? This performance really means a lot to the guy we're working for.
Have I not made myself clear? You're barking up the
Тут
wrong
видишь,
tree. I don't want this job, nor do I know of anyone else who would. Sorry. I didn't mean for that to sound so harsh. I wish
Взяла,
I could
наехала
help,
на меня.
really. But if
Я
I
ей там
thought
помогал,
I had the answer
она
to this
наехала на меня.
problem, I would have said so
Ну и
by
пошла
now.
ты.
It's all right, Farina. Paimon just
Ведь не
wanted
в
to make
порядке.
sure we
Какого
tried
хрена она на меня
everything.
наехала?
Oh, everyone in the troupe will be so disappointed.
Ладно, попробуем придумать план Б.
Yeah, I guess that's all we can do now. All right then, we'll see you around, Farina.
Toodaloo to you too. I'm
Sure.
going home to take a rest now.
Так, погнали искать новых. Кто там у нас еще на примете, может быть? Какая-нибудь танцовщица вон из этого, может. Из Лея позвать. Тоже пускай сыграет. Мюзикл как раз, она и петь умеет. Вернитесь и передайте, что думает Фурина.
It's too bad, but we have to respect Farina's decision. Maybe the thought of performing brings up too many painful memories now.
Exactly. But none of them believed me.
Так, что тут происходит? О, новая актриса.
Huh? What's going on? Are they arguing?
О чем спорят? Давай подойдем, узнаем.
That's besides the point. I'll ask you again. Why did you start looking for a replacement without my consent? When did I tell you I'm going to take a step
А,
back?
это основная
You
актриса.
didn't need to say it. We've known each other for how long now? We know the signs. But you never tell us about your illness, even when it's clearly flaring up.
And that gives you the right to make a decision on my behalf?
Что происходит?
Shortly after you left, the troupe's lead actress came to the Adventurers Guild. She believes that she's healthy enough to perform. Excuse me, but can you both take a moment to discuss something else for now? The adventurer assigned to your commission has returned.
Sorry, I was just dealing with a little misunderstanding. So, how did your conversation with Farina go?
Sadly, it's a no from her. We tried to persuade her, but she wasn't having it. She doesn't want to play the role for personal reasons.
I see. Well, circumstances have changed a little, so maybe that's not such bad news after all. You see, our leading lady has just informed me that she's well enough to make it to the show after all. Staging the musical with the full original cast was always the dream, of course.
Сейчас еще придет
Oh,
Фемира,
right.
Фурина и
Sounds
такая.
like everything
Я
worked
согласна, я
itself
согласна.
out then.
Представьте, если бы нам удалось уговорить Фурину присоединиться.
Time.
Jeez, is Lady Farina really so harsh with people?
Only joking. Calm down. So, guess we can consider this
Да? Все.
Despite the fact that
И
we failed
конец
to
типа
complete the
задания.
commission, we were still racking our brains for ideas on the way back here.
Хм.
Look, there's no point arguing with you about this anymore. You've made yourself very clear, so I'll stop looking for a replacement. This is the last chance we have, though. If your illness flares up again, there won't be time to find anyone to replace you. So, are
Интересно, нам
you
заплатят?
absolutely
Мы же
sure you'll
работали
be
на
able to
него.
handle it? The whole team is putting everything they have into this final performance. We have to make sure it goes ahead.
Yes, I'm completely confident. I've been taking a new medication from the doctor, and it's working brilliantly. I'll definitely be able to tough it out until the performance day.
А в день
I share
выступления я
everyone's desire to commemorate
вырублюсь.
all our years as a troupe with a proper farewell show. So the last thing I want is to be left out. Every one of us thinks of this troupe as their home, myself included.
You're right. I'm sorry. I let myself get too worried about the show. I should have asked for your permission first.
All's well that ends well. Sounds like the show will go on.
Пайман, подожди секунду.
Sure.
И чё мы? Чё он пошел? А, это подслушивать сидит.
Hey, how did you... I was just passing by because I realized I forgot a couple of items on my shopping list. All right, I'm coming. No need to drag me.
Фига у нее фляга свистит.
Hello, one and all. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation just now.
Farina? Didn't you say you were gonna take a rest at home? What are you doing here?
I was just ever so slightly concerned about the situation you mentioned. Yes, a teensy bit concerned, that's all. When you came to talk with me earlier, I jumped right to explaining my position and said some strongly worded things.
Не то слово рисковато.
And
Наехала
all
просто так на
before
меня.
I even had a full grasp of the situation. Anyway, I just feel a bit bad about how it went down. I'm sorry, Paimon.
Oh, it's totally fine. Paimon didn't take any of that personally.
Тогда почему ты сразу не пришла?
You really have a knack for asking the most uncomfortable questions, don't
Я еще
you?
как не умею. Я еще
I
тебя
felt very
отлупить могу, если надо.
sheepish, having had a change of heart after flatly refusing you. And then, to make matters worse, you caught me. But in any case, it sounds like the issue has already been resolved.
Yeah. When they said they were gonna ask for your help, I almost had a heart attack. I mean, how could we be worthy of having Lady Farina star in our show?
There's no need to think like that. And no need to keep addressing me as lady. Just Farina is fine. I was wondering, if this troupe is so important to all of you, why does it have to disband? If the difficulties are purely financial, then there must be a solution. You could put the shows on pause while you look for a sponsor, for instance. Everyone seems so devoted to the troupe. I'm sure if you keep chipping away, you'll find a way through.
We all want to believe that, but some things are just beyond our control. Everything's been going downhill ever since we lost our director. She was the heart and soul of our troupe. She kept us going.
А что с ней
Her name
случилось?
was O'Reilly, and she was the founder as well as the artistic director of our troupe. And
А,
tragically,
ее
she
растворили.
was a victim in this serial
Печаль.
disappearances case.
What?
That's actually how I recognized these two. It was all thanks to their efforts that the true culprit was brought to justice. But still, no sentence can bring our director back to us.
She was a loyal fan of your performances, Miss Farina. They were what first inspired her to get into musical theater. She
Да,
rallied
угадай, сейчас
many
Фарина
people
станет
around
их
her who were
руководителем.
destitute
И будет
or
их
had lost their
рулить
sense of
труппой.
purpose in life, and convinced them to join her troupe. She wrote her own scripts, acted on stage, and mentored each and every one of us. People loved our performances back then. We seemed to be going from strength to strength. Things were really looking up for us.
And then disaster struck.
Yeah. After that, the entire troupe fell into disarray. None of us know anything about script writing, let alone how to handle the business side of things. We've been doing the best we can. But despite our efforts, things are slowly but surely falling apart. It's agonizing. But ultimately, we'd rather end things now on our own terms than stick it out to the bitter end and
Вот это
watch all
правильное
our
решение.
dreams turn to dust.
Уйти, так сказать, на высоте. Вот так вот. Грустненько.
What a terrible waste. A gifted artist from humble beginnings who achieved so much and no doubt had much more to give. And then her life was so cruelly taken. I suppose it's fair to say then that this final show, besides being your farewell to the stage, is also your final gift for her?
Yes, exactly. We all miss her terribly.
Well, good thing I followed the traveler here. After hearing this tragic tale, I can no longer stand by and do nothing.
Farina.
Что ты задумала? Давай
I know
рассказывай.
what you're thinking, but I by no means plan to cross the boundary I've set for myself. Besides, they're no longer looking for a replacement anyway. I can, however, provide some artistic guidance from the vantage point of a highly experienced audience member. But only if you feel this is something that would help, of course.
Oh, most definitely. We'll take any guidance that you can give.
We unfortunately don't have any budget for a consultant, though. Will that be a problem?
I don't need any compensation. All I'd ask in return, if you're willing, is that you tell me some more about the life and work of your late director. Something I've begun to realize since my departure from the Opera Epiclese is that there's a lot you don't see when you observe everything from on high. The law only judges criminal behavior and does not weigh human emotion. The court's verdict can settle the question of criminal liability, but what about all the unresolved emotions of the parties involved? What happens to them?
Приговор может принести эмоциональный катарсис. Они утекают в бесконечность. Пусть будет
An
так.
interesting answer. But if you ask me, I think all emotion shall ultimately return home to the heart and slowly settle with the passage of time. Take, par exemple, how this troupe pines for their late director. Things such as this I have never witnessed before, and so I should like to observe, perchance to understand.
Still a fan of your old dramatic monologues then, huh? You just want to get back in on the action, don't you?
No. This is a completely different situation. Pearls before swine.
Ты, нифига, она нас свиньями
Would you be
назвала.
willing to
Нихера
join
себе
me?
она.
Come on, take a break from adventuring to listen to a story.
Ради тебя я согласен. Тем более, что это связано с делом об исчезновениях.
Thank you all so much. Our director was a huge fan of Miss Farina's performances, as of course we all are. All right, follow me. We'll go to our usual practice space. Please excuse the size. It's a little on the smaller side.
Сколько там? Метр на метр? Не думаю, что там уж такая мелкая. Хотя я не знаю, какая тренировочная площадка у актера. У трупа, например. Никогда не был в таких местах. Что было бы, наверное, любопытно. Так, 144 метра. Ну, может, поближе, наверное. Вот сюда варкнуться, да и все. По-быстрому. Так будет быстрее. 50 метров. Так, пораньше надо упасть. Чтоб я себе шею не сломал. Оливье! Оливье! Ты салатик. Мелкий. Так, пройдите к месту проведения репетиции. Давай заходим, смотрим, что там внутри. Hello. Нормальное такое помещение для репетиции.
Huh? Lady Farina?
What's Lady Farina doing here?
Hello all. Allow me to explain. As of today, Miss Farina
маленькая
will be
Кенида, это их
supporting our
постановка.
production
Интересно.
of the Little Oceanid in the role of artistic consultant. These two over here are the ones that made it possible. They kindly reached out to Miss Farina on our behalf. I'm sure they need no introduction.
You bet! That was the trial of the century! You helped bring our director's murderer to justice. We can't thank you enough.
Oh,
Ну,
please don't
допустим.
mention it. We're just here to join in on the fun.
So, you were saying the Little Oceanid?
Yeah, that's the name of our final show. It's an unfinished script left behind by our director.
О, мы еще и
One
сценарий
of our
дописывать
greatest
будем, походу, да?
regrets is that she never got to complete it.
что,
So, if we can bring it to the
достаем перо,
stage and make it a successful
чернила
show,
и
we can
погнали.
all take some solace in that.
Wait, but if it's not finished, then...
Поиски актрисы были наименьшей из ваших проблем.
Yeah, we've been battling issues on every front trying to realize this dream. Anyway, let me give you a quick summary of what the story's all about. The protagonist of the story is a young Oceanid who transforms herself into human form, despite the protests of her family. She longed to live just like any other human. And sure enough, she found friendship and even love. Everything seemed perfect. But one day, her true identity was exposed, and her world came crashing down around her.
So far, so good. A classic tale. What happened after that?
Классический.
That's one of
Понятно.
the issues we've been trying to deal with. Unfortunately, this was as far as the director got with her script.
Что могу сказать?
We
Не
need a
сценарий, а
proper
наброски
ending so we
какие-то.
can bring this musical to the stage. But people have different opinions on which direction to take it in.
We still haven't decided between a happy ending or a true-to-life tragedy.
Да.
By true to life, you mean the director's sudden disappearance?
Yeah, like they say, truth is stranger than fiction. But then there's the question of whether we really want to use the stage to pass our raw pain onto the audience.
Exactly. A lot of the time, people come to watch a show just hoping for some light entertainment. We have to consider their emotional stake in this, not just our own. And one last thing. We're still waiting on confirmation from two of our main actors. The first is Paulo, who plays the protagonist's lover. He's locked himself away to focus on writing an ending for the script. But the deadline's passed, and we still haven't heard from him.
Мне
The
кажется,
other
он
is
забухал.
Villemot, who plays the main antagonist. He took the director's death pretty hard. Hasn't set foot in the city since. He did write to us, promising that he'll be there for the final performance, but we haven't seen or heard from him since.
Я тут вообще
So
потерялся
we're
где-то.
not really sure what to make of that.
Чё, дай угадаю, мы пойдем сейчас искать их, да?
Although, now that we have Miss Farina helping us, maybe we should take the opportunity to get everyone back together.
What opportunity? What do you mean?
Maybe you're unaware, but your name has always been like a rallying cry for us.
Our director was constantly singing your praises. All of us look
О,
up to you
сейчас
as a
еще
role
Фурина
model.
поймет, что она не такая лохушка, как она думает.
Oh, stop! You're making me all flustered. Although, not in a bad way. I suspect the reason they're dragging their feet is that they have their doubts about whether the show will really go ahead, considering all the issues you've been facing. But one by one, all the obstacles are being removed. Now is the time to rally the troops.
Makes sense. Okay, priority number 1, let's check in with Paulo and see where he's at with the ending. He went back to Poisson a few days ago. Said that staying in a friend's home might help him to relax and escape the feeling of isolation.
I thought the last thing his friend would want right now would be to take visitors, given that Poisson was flooded not too long ago. But I guess it's the opposite. A friend in need and all that.
Yeah, maybe he could use some company.
Ну что, погнали в Пуассон?
Poisson.
И ты там еще голову свою полечишь. В чем дело?
Nothing. I suppose my presence will be indispensable if we are to restore his faith in the show. So, allons-y. To Poisson!
Да-да, погнали. Только еще смотрела всех. Все идут, все идут. Или я одна иду. Так, часть у нас закончилась. Уйти. Ухожу. Я ухожу. Оп. Куда мне надо гнать? Вот сюда. А, это канализация после. Понятно. Как они... У них город под землей. В мусорке хоть. Гоблины, блин, местные. Так, а как мне сейчас приземлиться так, чтобы не убиться? Наверное, где-то вот тут. Оп. Hello. Тук-тук-тук, есть кто дома? Рыбак
If I
тоже
remember
какой-то.
correctly, this is where he's staying.
Who is it?
Я?
It's me. Is the script ready?
You came all the way here for that?
All right. Forget that for now. Just come on out. We've got some great news.
Мне кажется, он там весь...
Nice try. Look, just give me some time, okay? I'm just wrapping up this last part of the script.
Не, он,
I'll be
кажется,
out
там
once I'm done.
бухает все-таки.
Okay, then.
По-черному.
Looking
Нормально,
forward to
чем
your
ты пришел.
masterpiece.
So, as expected, he's missed the deadline.
The ending is one of the most important parts of the show. Even once he's done, it isn't final until we've all had the chance to read through and make sure we agree on it.
Someone told me they'd just seen you in Poisson. I assumed it was a case of mistaken
Навия.
identity, but
Вот
sure
Навия
enough, here you
в
are.
каждой миссии затычка,
And
она всегда
Farina,
появляется.
too.
Вообще всегда.
I was wondering if we might run into her.
So, you're here for Paolo? Looks like he could be a while, so feel free to take a stroll around town in the meantime. I've made all the arrangements already.
Oh, it's okay. We can just wait here.
Не можем подождать.
Thank you for being so considerate, Miss Navia. That sounds wonderful. We'll take that stroll.
Дельфи.
Over here, you! How
Интересное имя.
oblivious are
Дельфи.
you?
How are things in Poisson now? Any better?
Things are on the mend, but it's a slow process. Some people may never recover from the trauma they experienced.
I'm sorry to hear that. I wish there was something I could do.
Please, must our conversations take such a depressing turn every time we meet? We all have painful memories, but we don't have to let them cloud everything we do.
Да вообще,
And if
Навия
you're
такая.
trying to make a new
Нормально
start,
все, вывозим.
perhaps it's best if you don't bring up
А
the past all
Фурина,
the time.
бля, я уныло
Thank you
говно.
for your words of comfort.
Ничего не умею.
You make a very good point. But for now, at least, I think I should stay with the way I'm feeling for a while longer.
It's okay. These things take time. Moving on from a painful experience is easier said than
Обхода
done.
еще у них один
Which
этот.
brings me to why I'm here.
Один, как это
I
называется,
thought
портной,
you
не
should
вряд ли
probably know
портной.
that not everyone here is ready to forgive
У них,
and
короче, платье
forget
очень
after the
практически
Hydro
одинаковое.
Archon's
Цвета
inaction in the
различаются.
face of catastrophe. To avoid upsetting the peace, I told the townspeople that everyone here is a member of the theater troupe, and that you are just an actress playing the role of Farina. It's not a perfect solution, but hopefully it means you won't have to lie low while you're here.
That's so thoughtful of you, Navia.
Well, what do you expect? I am the courageous and considerate president of Spina di Rosula, after all, like my father before me. Anyway, that was all. Look after her now.
Да ладно, ладно, понятно, спасибо. Разберемся здесь
Off we
сами.
go then. Let's take a look up there. I don't have any friends that I can be frank and honest with, so maybe she's right. You're the closest thing to friends that I have.
О, мы идем в бар, говорить по душам. Да ведь? Или нет? Помогите Фурине развеяться. И мы будем по канализации шарахаться, да? Отличное место для развеяться. Все так смотрят на нее. Хм.
I'm so grateful that Miss Navia was so understanding. To be perfectly honest, I didn't know if I was ready to meet her. It's always easiest to just run away from your problems. But that never fixes anything. You can't get around the obstacles without facing them.
So that's why you were nervous when they brought up Poisson.
Yeah. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared of coming back here.
Осуждение боишься, да?
Still, I felt it was something I had to do. As I was saying before, I want to see for myself the things that I never could in the past. I'd be overjoyed if the people here could find it in their hearts to forgive me. But they're more likely to unleash a tirade of vitriol against me. Which, of course, I completely understand and accept.
Думаю, не все купились на ложь Нави.
Yeah, I can tell people are watching me.
Да.
I'm sure some people here see the idea of someone coming to Poisson dressed as the Hydro Archon as extremely disrespectful. I used to be terrified of the gaze of other people, especially when they had suspicion or resentment in their eyes. I guess I wasn't quite ready for this after all.
I'm not surprised you're making yourself go through all of this.
Может быть, ты слишком много от себя требуешь? Да, это довольно неожиданно.
What do you mean by that? You expected me to just keep running and hiding from my responsibility forever?
Look, there seems to be a crowd gathering over there.
О, бунт будет сейчас. Они что-то расшумелись.
Probably time we made a move. How about we check out Spina di Rosula's ship? We should have a view of the whole of Poisson from there.
Так, бежим туда, на корабль. Бабулю нельзя толкнуть в воду. Так, бежим. Как долго бежать, оказывается, пришлось. Надо было портнуться. Ой, я чуть не упал. Опа! Тут где-то есть этот
I'm sorry.
Кул.
You probably just wanted a relaxing stroll. And here I am
Да
dumping
мы уж
all this
привыкли,
heavy
постоянно
stuff on
у
you.
каждого свои проблемы, как психологи личные ходим тут, всем
We
помогаем.
don't mind. It's actually refreshing to see a different side of you.
Great. Well, I appreciate your company, so please don't disappear just yet. I don't know whether you can tell, but the years of suffering and loneliness aren't the only reason I have a hard time facing up to who I used to be. As I stand here by the ship, I can't get the images of the rising water out of my mind. One after another, people were taken by the water. All those treasured lives and memories washed out of existence in an
Теперь они зато
instant.
едины с
They
морем.
thought their god would protect them. They had absolute faith that when disaster struck, a divine power would save them from harm. And all the while, I played my part to perfection to convince them that was true. But then the floodwaters finally came, and the Hydro Archon did nothing.
Ну
You
что
shouldn't
поделать.
look at it like that.
Такой
You're
себе
only
ты
doing
архонт.
your duty.
Ты слишком сурова к себе. Хотя нет,
I've had
она
to go
такой себе
through so
архонт.
many moments like that for the sake of protecting the truth.
А вообще,
As time went on,
косяк-то был даже не в ней, а в
It got
предыдущем
harder
гидроархонте, который
and
накосячил, по
harder to
идее.
bear. And I became more lonely and isolated. Eventually, I realized I had nothing left except the truth. I became terrified of completely failing in my task and was haunted by the thought of being
Ну нет,
left
да?
all
Там
alone,
бы этот Нивелет с тобой
weeping on
остался.
my throne.
Он-то вряд ли растворился бы.
Fortunately, we were able to avoid the worst case scenario thanks to the help of heroic individuals such as yourselves. Everyone rose to their responsibilities, and I finally regained my freedom. But
Так.
on some level, freedom also means no longer being needed. I have no further use to people.
I would have never imagined you'd see it that way.
Думай о свободе как о награде.
Reward?
Потому что теперь ты наконец-то можешь высказать свое мнение Ты больше не должна мучиться, ты больше не одинока.
I guess so. And back then, I didn't even dare to dream about having someone to confide in. I was scared of someone recognizing me for who I truly was, and exposing a secret I swore to protect. Believe in the Farina you see on stage. She is the one you can trust. I had to keep all my feelings, all my curiosity about life to myself.
Там
No one
кошка на
could be
фоне
allowed to know.
мяукает. Или что?
That's what I really meant when I said I'm no good at maintaining relationships.
So that's where you were coming from. Paimon totally thought you were just a bit of a diva at heart.
Could you please get off my case? I don't know what's gotten into you today. I'm making an effort here. You
А
could
чё
at
он
least
так
try to do the
сказала-то?
same.
Паймон хотел сказать, что очень грустно видеть тебя такой подавленной. Иногда легче, когда выговоришься, верно?
I do. I once had nothing but the truth, and now I'm finally free to live my own life again. And even though I have no idea where I'm going right now, at least the choice is in my hands. All right, it's about time to head back. Paulo should have
В
finished
смысле,
the
мы тут
ending by now.
полчаса гуляли, думаешь, он дописал?
Okay, let's head back and check it out.
Или что, мы несколько дней... А, вон кошка. Я думал, кто там мяукает, а там... Там рыжий. Привет, красавец. Жаль, тебя погладить нельзя. Мур-мур. Давай я меняюсь. Забирайте зеленую, ту хрень летающую. А мне кота. Эх. Ладно. Так, мне туда. Там толпа же была где-то. Ой, песель. Тоже, смотри. Птица умерла только что, да? Очень любопытно. Так, что здесь
Didn't you
происходит?
say you needed to watch what you eat? You're supposed to be cutting down on fried foods, not wolfing down copious quantities of fish and chips.
У нас
You know?
денег нет.
Come on.
хомячит.
It's not every day we get to dine at Spina di Rosula's expense. Can you believe how generous she is? I'm
А,
not
это
about to pass
халявка.
on
Ну
free
да,
food.
за халяву это нормальная
Anyway,
тема.
my character doesn't need to be slim and good looking. That's your job.
Are you kidding me
Твоя
right now?
задача.
It's not your
Неплохо.
character's health I'm worried about, it's yours. I've spent my whole life battling the effects of ill health, and it kills me to watch you willingly ruin yours by filling yourself up with junk all the time.
Oh no, looks like they're arguing again.
Ну что поделать, творческие разногласия, все дела.
We're back. Could you maybe put your differences
А
aside
вообще,
for
мне
a
кажется,
moment?
она это, они пара, по-любому.
You're back. We've been enjoying Spina di Rosula's VIP treatment in your stead. Paulo's nearly done. We shouldn't have to wait too much longer.
Great! So you were discussing your characters, right? We heard she's playing the Oceanid who turns into a human girl. What about you?
Да, а он кто? Да.
I'm an Oceanid too.
He was originally supposed to take the form of a crane, but he outgrew that role. Well, the costume at least. So now he's playing the boar instead.
А, типа водного вот этого кабана.
Sorry.
The boar's not a bad character, actually. He's the one who raises the little Oceanid, yes?
That's right. He has some pretty memorable lines too. Like when he imparts some solemn words of wisdom to the little Oceanid. If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness. Is this truly what you want?
Wait, that sounds kind of familiar.
It's the most important line in the whole script. I think it's a symbolic statement about our director's life and legacy. She kept quiet about all the trials and tribulations she faced in running our troupe, allowing us to devote ourselves fully to performing. It was only
Ой, там
after she
чувак
was
водолаз
gone that
дальше
we
стоит.
realized how tough her job really was.
You mentioned earlier that the troupe is like
Вон там
your
справа.
home.
Ха, интересно. А, это девушка даже?
Yeah. I was born with an incurable illness, and once my family found out it couldn't be treated, they decided they didn't want me anymore.
Ну, печально.
I spent some years taking whatever work I could find, and trying to manage my illness with various medicines. But whenever I had a bad flare-up, I'd be lying in an alleyway for days at a time. It was like that until the director found me one day. She told me I had a great voice and asked if I was interested in studying singing from her. I said yes. She took me under her wing, taught me to both sing and act, helped me find Mora for my meds, took care of me when my condition decided to flare up. I know it was all a huge burden on her.
She sounds like a really incredible person.
She really was. She gave everything she had to her troupe and the people in
Так
it.
что за руководительница? Давайте,
All of us were so
может, мы
proud to
уже
call her our
встречались?
director.
Не?
I was a lost child too when she found me. As the child of a murderer, my parents weren't around when I was little, so I got sent to an orphanage. The other kids were always picking fights with me. They'd say things like, "Come on, you must be pretty tough if you're the son of a murderer." It was just to taunt me, though. I was an easy target, and they knew it. One day, I got beaten up so bad that I just couldn't take it anymore, so I ran away. I lost all faith in humanity by
Какие
that
жестокие
point.
судьбы у этих
Thought the whole world was
персонажей.
out to get me.
Прям
Let me
такое.
guess. Fortunately, the next person you ran into was the director.
Yeah. For the first time in my life, I was somewhere I felt safe. And I promised myself I'd stay here until the day the group parted ways.
The day you hoped would never come.
О,
How times
показался.
change.
Ты дописал концовку, да?
You're finally done? Get your butt over here. There's someone I need to introduce you to. This is our new artistic consultant, Miss Farina.
Farina? The Farina? Oh my god, how did you manage to wrangle that?
Please, the honor is all mine. I was profoundly moved to hear about your troupe and your wonderful director. I just wanted to do something
А
to
еще, мне
help.
кажется, ей просто заняться нечем, она хочет чем-то хоть позаниматься. Поэтому вписывается в эту движуху.
Even so, this is just... Oh wow, I'm sorry. I'll try to calm down. Now, where was I? Ah, yes, the script, of course. Let me give you a rundown of how the story unfolds in my version of the script.
Давай,
I'm
рассказывай.
sure you're already familiar with the beginning of the story. A little Oceanid decides she wants to become a human, against the wishes of her family. She finds love and friendship in the
Ой,
bustling
черно-белое,
city.
прикольно.
But then, disaster strikes. The people start to notice that all the fresh water in the surrounding area is slowly disappearing. The soil is becoming arid, plants and flowers are withering, and the people begin to panic. The little Oceanid, Cleo, and her lover decide to do something about it, and investigate the truth of the matter together. In the end, they discover that all the waste and pollution created by humans over the years has caused the fresh water to flee the land, as if driven by a consciousness of its own.
Consciousness? You mean the water is sentient?
Water as a conscious entity. There's actually quite a few stories that explore this theme.
Since the little Oceanid is a water spirit, she immediately understands how the water is feeling. She then tells her lover about her true identity, as well as the truth behind the crisis. Her lover accepts her for who she is, and works with her to find a way to bring the water back. However, unbeknownst to them, there were some people eavesdropping when she revealed her secret. The little Oceanid is accused of being directly responsible for driving the water away, and faces the greatest dilemma of her
О,
life.
интересно. Я бы давай посмотрел на такую постановку.
In the end, she makes the brave decision to sacrifice herself to save her lover, and the rest of humanity.
Huh? But didn't they all treat Cleo like a villain? Why would she want to save them after that?
Потому что она любит, наверное, этого.
Well,
Да и всё.
she mainly wanted to save her lover, plus everyone who'd stood up for her.
Through her love for her human partner, she was able to find an even greater love, one that extended to all of humanity. Surely the biggest strength of Cleo's character.
There's actually something else that bothers me. You know
Что
the
же?
protagonist is supposed to represent the director, right? And she never had the chance to become a hero in our world. If we're serious about dedicating this show to her memory, We should make the ending as true to life as possible. What about if the little Oceanid is hounded to death by people who hate her, her lover makes sure her secret never gets out, and humanity continues down the path to extinction?
That sounds like too cruel of an ending to me. And perhaps a little irresponsible to present to the audience.
That ending would be a perfect mirror to Director Aureli's death. Both arbitrary and meaningless. On the day when she went missing, Director Aureli had instructed us all, somewhat out of the blue, to leave the court of Fontaine and wait for her outside the city.
Она что-то
We
знала,
waited and waited at the rendezvous point, but she never came. By the time we returned to the city, she disappeared without a trace. We looked for her. The Gardamex looked for her, but she was nowhere to be found. Increasingly, all the signs seemed to point to her being the latest victim in the serial disappearances case.
The director was the kindest soul in the world. Yet she was senselessly sacrificed for the sake of a so-called experiment by someone who had nothing to do with her at all.
But doesn't the way she suddenly told you to leave the city suggest that maybe she had some sense of what was about to happen? It almost seems as if she was moving you to safety.
По-любому.
I've been trying to follow up on that ever since, but all my efforts so far have turned up nothing. Villemont might know something, but he won't open up to me.
Ну, пойдемте узнаем у него.
The one who's playing the role of the villain?
Yeah. He's been overwhelmed by grief. I think the director's death hit him hardest of all.
Grief? Guilt, more like. Also, I have a hard time imagining that anyone took it harder than me. Because, well, speaking of the play being true to life, I was deeply, madly in love with Aureli.
Чем бы еще поднасыпать? Давайте еще что-нибудь.
You kept that one
Еще больше
quiet.
фактов.
It's time to be upfront with you all. No more keeping secrets from each other. We'll never be able to agree on the ending if we can't be honest about how we feel. I did tell her how I felt once, but she turned me down pretty much straight away.
Быстро
She
натяшила.
said that we were all like brothers and sisters to her, and she'd never considered us as potential romantic partners.
Да, я люблю тебя,
Not that it came
как
as a
друга.
shock or anything. It was what I was expecting to hear. So I told her I'd always be there for the troupe, and I'd always be there for her. I said, maybe one day in the future, when everyone's settled into their own lives and on the up and up, and managing the troupe no longer required her constant attention, well, maybe then she could reconsider what she really wanted in her life. And now, that day will never come.
Hollow.
So if I'm the one writing this ending, then I'm gonna make sure it does right by Aureli. I won't let anyone get in the way of that.
In that case, you have to straighten things out with Villemont once and for all, face to
Погнали его.
face. We've all had our differences of opinion over the ending, but those two have never seen eye to eye on anything. One of them has to compromise if we're ever going to reach a final decision.
Well, if that's where we're at, looks like it's time to go visit Villemont.
Так а где
Are
он?
you
Он
ready to
свалил
face the
куда-то.
truth?
Honestly, I'm slightly terrified. But for the sake of our final performance, I'll do whatever it takes. Funny you should ask, though. You really do get what I'm going through right now.
I certainly do. Come on, everyone. Allons-y!
Да. Так, это мы выполнили, да, и, собственно говоря, следующий. Но следующий уже не сегодня, как раз часок пошел ровно. Вот. Я думаю, завтра будем продолжать эту историю. Найдем этого Вильмонта и узнаем вторую часть истории. Пёся. Гав-гав. И убежал. Не беги, Пёся. Он растворился. Эх, ладно, да, на сегодня все. Всем спасибо за просмотр. Если понравилось, ставьте лайк. Пишите комментарии, если есть что сказать. Собственно говоря. И всем до новых встреч. Пока-пока.